my gosh, you have to be on my show. And then when she sent me all her information and tips, I'm like, I knew there was a reason we connected. In my next life, I'm going to be Myra because I want to go with her in her backpack. And you'll see what I mean. Myra, welcome to the show. How are you?
I am wonderful, Sandy. It is a pleasure to be here with you.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. All right. I don't know how we're going to fit it all in, but we're going to do the best we can. And don't worry, if you missed it from the beginning, it's going to be on every platform recorded. But let me tell you about Dr. Myra Corrello, but I'm not saying it like her mom or dad. She is a small business strategist and professional speaker who helps people think bigger and bolder. After years of downsizing, experimentation, and planning, Myra has just completed her own first year as a she's not a senior citizen, but okay, digital nomad, and regularly works with others who are ready to pursue their next big chapter. Holler in their business and in their life. When not speaking, leading CEO masterminds, or advising others, you'll find Myra gearing up for her next crazy solo adventure and finding friends on the salsa dance floor. I knew I liked you all along the way. Myra! All right, so tell me, because you have to. Where are you coming from? I know you're in New Orleans now, but where were you?
Yes, I just got back from a month in Houston, Texas. Spent a lot of time rotating, pretty much in the southeastern US, but also kind of migrating more and more towards Mexico. We'll be spending quite a bit of time there and still have to go out to the West Coast in the summer. But Sandy, I just decided years ago I wanted to build my business around my life and not the other way around. And
What?
I just decided it's scary as all get out. I mean, every day of my life is just filled with uncertainty, but I'm just amazed that if you just are brave enough to take one step out, you find the right people and resources to
Mm.
somehow make it happen.
There's so much to unpack here, but I want to go to your big idea because this is when I said, what do you want to say to women around the world? And they are from all over the place. Matter of fact, I started this show 4 years ago because I met so many people in Dubai. So shout out to my friends in Dubai. Here you go. Think bigger and bolder, step out in courage than the universe will provide, which is what you're telling us. So I want you to tell them about how you go about finding your work and travel. Like, go through the plan like you did with me before we went live, because it's fascinating. And she was citing everywhere she was going, and there was 12 places. I'm like, are you looking at your planner? She's like, no, I can't wait.
Yeah. And that's one of the big things, Sandy, is that this does require you've got to first of all just get really darn clear on what it is you really want. And even after getting clear, one of the things that I've spent this year doing, I call it poking at things. I'm going to give you my first resource that I hope that your listeners really pay attention to. There is a book out that was given to me a few years back called Designing Your Life.
Oh, yeah.
And the authors are David Evans, Bill Burnett, and they are product designers of all things. And they wrote this book on how do we start going if we're going to want to live this bigger and bolder life, and we're not even sure what it looks like. How do we begin to start the process? Well, they shared their process of how they develop a new product. What do? They prototype it and they poke at it, they test it, they do all kinds of things to it. And with each iteration, they get closer and closer and closer to what it is they really are trying to shoot for. Well, that's what I've been doing this whole past year. I spent 2 years downsizing to put my remaining special things in storage. And I am poking at places now to see what's going to be in my frequent rotation for the rest of my life. And so I'm negotiating, for instance, month-long Airbnb stays, along with some other platforms that specialize in 30 to 90-day stays. And that allows me to go and test communities to see how they fit for me. And along the way, I'm learning a lot about what really matters to me and how these different communities compare. Because one of the things I haven't shared with you is I found out the other day I have a name, and it's kind of a scary one. I'm an elder orphan, which is an older woman who has no children, no partner, no parents, and practically no family left. So
An
part of,
elder orphan.
yes, I didn't even know the term existed, and it's kind of scary when I went to research it. Ooh. But the
I've
idea,
never heard of that. Yeah.
I had neither. But the idea is that, on the one hand, I have this tremendous freedom to be able to redesign my life at this stage. But also, I am out here completely alone in the world, trying to navigate this. And so it takes real courage. But it's so funny because when I'm working with small business owners and I start to kind of carefully mention my not so traditional life,
Mm-hmm.
I'm fascinated that one quarter of the room is literally flocking after you saying, please help me exit my business in a way so I can gain this
Uh,
kind of freedom, mobility, or whatever big or bolder the life that they're dreaming of.
you know, I love, I don't know if I like the name,
I know.
but what it makes me think of is how you've created this wonderful life for you that works for you.
It's scary.
It is,
Scary.
but and there's benefits to every type of life. But
Yes.
with the way you've chosen to show up, you're meeting a lot of new amazing people everywhere you go. Because when you
Oh,
go solo, and I've done solo and I've gone with friends, I'm never alone when I go solo because you're going to meet so many
no.
fascinating people and really dive into their culture and where they are.
Yes. Yes. I really am careful if I let anybody join me anywhere, as far as friends and family and so on, because this is part of the magic, is
Yep.
having to really put yourself out there. And people don't know this about me, especially people that don't know me well. I'm shy.
Mm.
And yet you and I are professional speakers. We're in front of cameras and microphones, but in our other life, it's hard to have to initiate conversations with total strangers and stuff. But you've got to decide, how badly do you want this bigger, bolder thing in your life? And, what are you willing to do it? Because when you start breaking things apart and prioritizing them, which goes back to what you were saying, how do you do this? And one of the most important things in the world is I love the period between Christmas and New Year's. And again, mine is pretty non-traditional because I don't have a lot of family. So I spend that time doing an annual report on myself, personally and professionally, of of what I did accomplish as compared to what I really set out to accomplish. And number one, you'll be surprised if you do it at what you really did get accomplished.
Yeah.
And I'm maniacal about putting everything into my electronic calendar. And at the beginning of the year, I decide what are the big, bold things that are non-compromising this year. And they go into
Like
my
that.
calendar in certain colors. And I even try to make some sort of a commitment, a ticket, or whatever, where there's really no backing out. And then I start filling it with all these extraordinary tentative things so that as I'm planning my work and where I may want to find speaking engagements that help to balance being at the Salsa Congress in Puerto Rico in July, or wherever I want to be, I already know what I want my life to look like that year. And then I figure out, how do I use my skills, my talents to find people who need me, because I tend to be more of a generalist, and I can serve a lot of different roles. And
Yeah.
then I build networks in all those kinds of strategic places. I probably am a member of 300 Facebook groups. because everywhere that I think I may want to live or spend time in the future, I'm already a member of those expat communities. I'm hearing the scuttlebutt every day of resources and what it's like to live there, and seeing the people that I want to connect with long before I ever even show up there for my first tentative trial.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to up my game. I think I'm a member of maybe 2. I never thought of that. That's a great idea. I do, by the way, not to the extent you have, because I got some roots here that I love. But whenever I pick my speaking engagements for the year, I put the big map up and I said, all right, everybody, put pins where you want to go.
Yes.
And that's how I like, all right, now I'm going to go after a speaking engagement here or here. I'm like, wait a minute. You only get to come to 4.
And luckily for me, my passion is working more with business owner masterminds, groups of 15, 10 to 20
Oh,
people.
okay.
And so those are so easy to either co-produce in communities or to self-produce or whatever. And so it gives me so much flexibility to be able to earn money in those locations when I'm not necessarily, negotiating some giant gig. And those are wonderful.
Yeah,
Well,
that's great. Yeah. Yeah.
the other thing I do is I've really stepped back and asked myself in terms of a business model, are there some organizations who will just send me and love the fact that I have this mobility? And so I've actually found organizations where I can be kind of a corporate spokesperson for them, their value add, and go to all of their small business owner clients and provide little circles and little supports and all this stuff. And being able to get those kinds of contracts gives me a certain consistency through all of
Yeah.
this.
So Myra, I'm getting a bunch of questions come here and they're loving you and they think it's awesome. They want some ideas of how to do it. A bunch of these women, let me see, they still have kids. It's young kids, but they are able to travel, good support system. A few of the women are saying, where do they begin? Let me put this one. How can I begin thinking bigger and bolder when I never thought that way? I mean, she's a lawyer, she has a great solid job, but she doesn't feel it's a big and bold move. So she and I get that. She like I don't know how to get, and she has 2 kids, 5 and 7.
And one of the things that is the case for all of us is that we all face certain numbers of constraints.
Yeah. Yeah.
And every single one of us have constraints. I have kind of purposely chosen not to grow out my business to where it could be, to keep
Mm.
really super manageable and flexible. And I make a ton of financial sacrifices to balance that. I mean, I thrift shop 90% of my clothing, my accessories, my shoes. Beautiful Kate Spade felt hat fedora the other day for $4.99, by the way. I mean,
Diamond stores are my life, baby. I go
me
everywhere I
too.
travel, I find them.
I mean, because my whole life now is completely about downsizing. And one of the things in order for her to begin is to start finding like-minded people who are doing similar. I guarantee you that there is Facebook groups that are devoted to mothers with kids at home who desire to travel. And even within the bigger women in travel groups, there are going to be subgroups of, moms who want to travel with and without the kids. And so one of the things I do is I work really hard to find people who are just 3 steps ahead of me in terms of what they're doing. And I host a lot of people. I was really active in couch surfing. So that when people came to town, I learned from my visitors what they do. One of the greatest sources in the world for your listeners who are near a fairly large city, there's an organization called Internations, and this is for people who really want to experience more cultures and travel and so on. And like I've just got back from a month in Houston, and I cried when I left. I had already developed in 4 weeks some of the most amazing relationships that I have developed in decades because of internations, because everybody arrives there either as a solo parent, as a solo person, and most of them from other countries. And you're coming into the city completely alone and having to start your life all over. And so that organization is just filled with people who are like you and who maybe have been out just a bit longer. So what you want to do is look for those kinds of tribes. And if you don't find one, if you're active in several groups, then start to organize your own group, moms who want to travel, and start comparing resources and ideas. And because it is amazing how many resources are out there. And as somebody who is a bit shy and introverted, I love doing research, just going in groups and listening to what people are asking for and the advice they're being given.
Internation. Look, you're mentioning things. I think, okay, I have it all down with my network, and then I'm like, wait a minute, now I got to join Facebook groups, and there's international, like all these.
Yeah.
Hold on.
And definitely, if you are in an area where, it's a fairly popular place where people like to come, consider hosting people through couch surfing. Because again, you're getting highly mobile, interesting people coming through. And it is that
You're calling it couch surfing?
Couch surfing, yes. And it's a very old established organization. It's been around forever. And you can host people and basically you set up your own. If anybody ever wants to do any of this, reach out to me and I'll screenshot my profile to show you, what are some best practices in terms of policies and things that you would put out on your profile. But in turn, it's like Airbnb for free. Think of it that way.
Oh,
And,
okay. I got you.
And then you in turn, people can see your reviews and they can decide when you request to be hosted whether they want to host you or not. And then there's amazing programs like Workaway, which is another one where you go and you contribute in some way to the farm or the estate or the this or that in exchange for lodging and food and stuff. I've got a girlfriend right now on one, and she's in San Miguel de Allende, which is one of my favorite places in the world. And she's doing a workaway, and all she's doing is staying with this woman on this beautiful farm because the woman has 7 dogs and loves help making sure they're all walked and great attention and stuff. So that gives her a bit more freedom. I mean, it's crazy.
This is crazy. I didn't know about any of this stuff, and I love traveling. And so with the couch surfing, you're staying there for free, but when you go there, they're staying with you for free.
Right. That's right.
That's incredible.
And then there are other groups. There's a Facebook group that is amazing, global, called Host a Sister. And that's another case where you can offer to host people coming through your community, and they keep kind of a file so you can see who's offered to host, or you can post, I'm coming into Minneapolis in the second week of July, and I would love to get to know somebody. Would anyone be willing to host me? And so it's amazing because you're building these really special relationships with people who are highly mobile and doing a lot of the things you want to do. That's how you learn so much.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
We're going to switch gears a little bit here, Myra, because I'm getting a lot of interest in your speaking, and there's a few women here. They want to know, how do they get to the next level? I'm curious to see what you say. They speak at their Rotary, they speak at their office, but they don't know how to get to the next level and get paid. Where would you suggest they start?
Absolutely. Happy to take that one on. I have been a very proud member of the National Speakers Association for 20 full-time for 20 years as a professional member. In fact, this Monday is my 20th anniversary in my business full-time. So
wow.
And I'm a past president of the National Speakers Association for this particular New
Chapter.
Orleans, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama region. Yeah. And so the National Speakers Association is an amazing organization. Go to nsaspeaker.org, find a chapter. And there's also a book on there that is outstanding that they sell called Paid to Speak, which is full of amazing advice. And the one thing I want to share with you the most is I'm literally staying with a National Speakers Association colleague right now, this very moment. And we're working on her speaker marketing plan. And so part of what I do in my travels is I exchange my services many times for hosting.
Mm.
And it's a win-win because you get the chance to really get to know people and help them on a much deeper level. But NSA, I'm always looking for National Association of Women Business Owner members. I'm looking for National Speakers Association members. Anywhere I travel, think about the organizations that you're involved with locally that have national and international chapters, because that also gives you networking opportunities and gives you an entree into those. But what I most want to share with you that we just spent last night doing, and we're going to try to do this in the air, okay? I want you to draw a circle.
Okay.
And then I want you to draw another circle that overlaps it. And then I want you to draw another circle that overlaps those two, so that your end result should have this little bit in the middle that all three overlap.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want you to label that first circle pain. And I want you to label another circle passion.
Okay.
And then I want you to label the third circle credibility.
Okay.
In order to make money as a professional speaker long term, you have to speak on something that your expertise in it is so powerful that people will pay you money to get rid of the pain of what they're experiencing.
Gotcha.
So it has to solve a problem. It has to help eliminate a pain. It has to help. And the pain can be, a lot of mine are, Myra, I don't know what to do with my business. You know, I got to this. I don't know what to do. I don't know which way to turn. I have opportunities. I feel like I've plateaued. And that's a pain. Will somebody pay money for help with that? Yes. So here's the challenge. Many of us speak on things we love. It's our passion. We could speak on it 24 hours a day. But what you have to do is figure out, am I going to be seen as credible on that topic? So how hard is it going to be for me to position myself in the eyes of a buyer as an expert in that topic, and that I can word it in such a way that people are going to go, oh my God, I need this to get from here to here. And so the topics you choose determines how much money you make in the business. And it's got to be an intersection of all three of those things, because I've been asked to speak about a lot of things I could make a lot of money on, and I don't like the topic. And if you try to do that for too long, so if you do it without the passion, and people say, Myra, you're so transparent. When you're in something, you glow. And when you're not, you stink. And so, and the other thing, my other piece of advice on the speaking business, make sure that you're speaking to an audience that you love. I love working with small business owners and entrepreneurial minded executives who take complete control of themselves. They're willing to invest their own money. I do not do staff training. Even for my small business owners, I don't do staff training. I did it many years ago in my career. I don't ever want to do it again, and I'm old and I can make that choice. So I only work with people who will reach in their pocket and pull out a credit card to invest in themselves to work with me, because that's my joy. So
That's
make
good
sure
to remember. That's
the
good to
right
remember.
topic for the right audience. And that's when the magic occurs.
That's good to remember because I think a lot of people don't think, well, who do I really want to speak to? Who lights
Yeah.
me up too?
And you have to. One of my best mentors of all time ever was a guy named Mark LeBlanc. And he wrote a wonderful little book called Small Business Success. He's had this amazing career only working with small business owners, nobody else. And what he said once that just stuck with me forever is he said, Myra, and trust me, Sandy, I have made this mistake. I mean, there's been people that's handed me money because they think I'm a fit to close their conference, closing keynote. I mean, big deal, right?
Mhm.
Especially when you get that check.
Yeah.
But I work myself to death to try to be great when it's an audience that I'm not a fit for. And I can take in an A+ presentation and deliver it to a C+ audience in terms of fit, and the best I'm going to get out of it is a B-. But I can walk in half blah, speaking to the right people, and anything I say or do, they're going to go, yes. And so you can take in a B- performance into an A+ audience and still walk out with an A or an A-. You just work so hard when it's not the right audience. And when you've been in front of a few too many, like some of us that's been in this business a long time, you figure out who's not your audience.
Yes, like the audiences that were forced to go and don't want to be there, right?
Listeners.
Oh my goodness, we have to wrap up, but let me get this other question out because I've gotten a bunch of times and you did touch on it, but think bigger and bolder, step out in courage. The universe will provide. What is another way that these women can do that? Not even just to travel, but just in their general lives and in their general careers.
So why did you ask that? Because I have one more resource that I just have to share.
Okay, I'm ready.
Another book, okay? So the next book that I really want you to look at, and this one is the answer to that question. It's called
Ooh.
The Serendipity Mindset, the art and science of creating good luck. And it's written by Christian Busch, Busch. And essentially, what that book says is that every single day, we need to be putting ourselves in novel situations. And novelty means discomfort, folks. It means getting out of complacency. It means not knowing exactly what's going to happen. It means growth is discomfort. Doing anything bigger or bolder is uncomfortable and scary.
Absolutely.
But we create our luck by continuing to pursue novel things. And then suddenly all these different things come in together and we look at them and go, oh my God, that fits beautifully into something that's really innovative that I can use. And so it's fascinating how if we just keep trying different things every day, talk to a new person, reach out to somebody new. I am passionate about building and nurturing the right relationships. And again, I am shy, but I know the power of what it means to have 100 people, 200 people who just go, I love you, I got your back, and you tell me how I can help you. And even in business, if you want to grow to a big business, I'm a faculty of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. I am the growth strategies faculty who provoke people to think 4 times bigger than when they come into the program with an idea of what they think they can do. My job is to get them thinking even bigger. So I do this professionally. And every single time you're putting up your mindset of, oh my God, I can't afford it. I couldn't afford to do this. I don't have the capacity for this. That's why programs like that, by the way, is a great program and it's offered nationally. GS10KSB org, I think. Just look up Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses Program. 3 months of your life, total boot camp, will kill you and will change your life, and it's free if you're chosen. But what it does is it gives you all the resources you need to become fundable, to become marketable, to overcome all those barriers that immediately come to mind when you want to think bigger or bolder. Because there is an answer out there. There are people who will believe in you and fund you and support you. So no matter what is the constraints that kind of haunt you, there are ways around them, but we got to be really bold and have courage to try to seek those out.
Amen, sister. Myra, we have to go. What I'm going to do is wrap us up, and then I'm going to close this out and then come back on Zoom because I just want to make sure I have some of this information.
Absolutely.
But they don't have to stay around for that. I don't know how to do it live. But come on, people. You're going to want to share this with the world. So when I'm done, I'll make sure I record it. And then by tonight, it'll be on every single platform. So LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X. I don't know, I missed something, but my guy Thomas will make sure it's every single place. And Myra and I would really appreciate you rating and liking it and sharing it.
And if you read either of those books, you send me an email and tell me what you think about it. And we may even have a few minutes chat, and I am happy to be your sounding board to think through it. And all you have to do to email me is stick a Myra in front of that Grow with Myra. So Myra at Grow with
I was just going to ask how they can find you, but I guess I don't have to do that. Myra at growwithmyra.com. That makes that part easy.
Because my other email is Myra at myracorrello.com, and Corrello gets misspelled, so we just don't go there. So Myra at growwithmyra.com.
Myra, easy peasy.
Email me and, let me know if this resonates and if any of these resources help. And if you need other resources, I am happy to provide them.
I'm sure. I'm a little sad here because I have millions of books and resources, but I don't have any of these.
I got more for you, honey. We'll just have to redo.
Oh my goodness. All right. Before we go though, anything we didn't get in that you want to get in, Myra?
Just don't let anything be an obstacle. Find somebody who believes in you and go to them as a sounding board, and definitely manage the relationships who don't, and be prepared that when you do start living bigger and bolder, your relationships are going to change, and you are going to be closing some doors, as we know we have to open new ones. We may end up finding ourselves loving some people at a distance because they don't necessarily like the new, bigger, bolder you. Be prepared. This is lonely. Growth is scary and lonely, but do it. We only have one wild and precious life. Thank you, Mary Oliver.
All right, you know what I'm going to say? Hey, I got something to say. Toodles. Thanks, Myra.